Welcome back to another insightful video newsletter. Today we're talking about, in essence, as it all is, self improvement, but usually we're talking about things in the business community and government realms. But specifically today, we'll be talking about a self improvement perspective, and the information that I'm sharing is not the answer or the complete answer, or it's just stimulation for for myself as well as the listeners to do some further research and digging, some process building, and effort of improving self. And so, any kind of information that may twist at the heart, that's something that I'm going to look into, take what I can from it respectfully, leave the rest where it is respectfully. And at the end of the day, if it's worth sharing, sharing with you. And so please take it for what it's worth. And if it's not what you're looking for, definitely overstand if you want to connect on another newsletter. But in the meantime, we're going to talk about and shout out NPR 90.3 WPLN News for powering this information. I want to shout out Regina Barber for creating this 3-minute lesson. And it's about black holes. Black holes can teach us how to live our best lives. I thought this was interesting to check out because this particular type of realm, what do you call this? Forgive my ignorance. Like I don't say astrophysics. I don't know. Forgive my ignorance, but it's just as above, so below, as within, so without. No, these are not right or wrong things, but it's just about expanding your mind within reason, of course, but expanding your mind to know when you're talking about self improvement, how far does that go? And a lot of times you have to sift through information and see which information is good and which information is not as good for you to take. But you got to go through the information, and you don't really want to leave no stone unturned per se. So, with that being said, we're going to go into the conversation of black holes can teach us how to live our best lives. Let's see what they're saying, and they have a 3-minute audio for you to check out, but we're going to go into the content. First and foremost, we have a visualization of the accretion disk around a black hole. A visualization of the accretion disk around a black hole. Very interesting. Jeremy Schneitman, forgive me if I'm mispronouncing that last name, NASA Goddard Space Flight Center. Shout out for the visualization. And if you happen to know any information that's related to what we're talking about as far as the accretion disk around a black hole, thank you in advance for putting that information in the comments to post us or to direct us in the right direction to get more information. One of my favorite celestial objects in the universe is the black hole. Granted, I'm an physicist, but I know I'm not alone. People love black holes. They seem to hold a near mythic status in movies and pop culture. These incredibly dense objects have such extreme gravity, not even the light in their orbit can escape them. They're beguiling and perplexing, even to the scientists who study them. One such researcher is Prayamavada Nataran, an astrophysicist and the chair of the astronomy department at Yale University. Natarajan studies supermassive black holes. These are black holes that are at the center of almost all galaxies whose masses range from over 100,000 suns to a few billion. And after talking with Natarajan about the science of black holes, I realized that these enigmatic objects are actually overflowing with valuable life lessons. I'm just going to roll with that. If I'm butchering that word, it is what it is. You don't have to be great to start, but you do have to start to be great. Lesson 1. Push the limits, even if others doubt you. In 1915, Einstein presented his general theory of relativity. It presented a revolutionary idea that the more massive something is, the more it alters space around it. And while it sounds simple enough, the theorem actually involves 10 interconnected equations. Mathematically speaking, there's just a lot of moving parts. So when it came to applying the theorem to describe how a specific mass distorted a particular part of space, Einstein believed it would be extremely difficult to find solutions that weren't fuzzy approximations. But a few months after Einstein published this work, physicist Carl Schwarzschild presented the first solution of how mass creates that gravitational force. It was a clean one, too. No fuzzy math required. And what it described was a mind-boggling entity that came to be known as a black hole. So that's the backstory there. Schwarzschild described this black hole essentially by sitting down and asking himself, according to Einstein's rules, what would happen if space-time was warped by an enormous mass that was squeezed down to occupy the smallest possible space, essentially a single point. This point of infinite mass is known as a singularity. And we're going to pause there and want to highlight this word. Definitely, what's your thoughts on singularity? What do you know about them? Its pros and cons? Just very broad question, but leave that information in the comments as far as its relativity to the conversation. But I do want to highlight that. And when I also look at space-time, I could be wrong with this. When I look at space-time, I look at it from a third dimensional perspective because space and time is what at the minimum I understand to encapsulate the third dimension, so space-time. So I could be speaking out of ignorance. Please elaborate on that section, space-time, and let me know. According to Einstein's rules, what would happen if space-time was warped by an enormous mass that was squeezed down to occupy the smallest possible space? So I would just look at it another way: is what would happen if the third dimensional realm was warped by an enormous mass? Left field maybe, but just something to think about. Going back into the article. So it is actually the shape of space around a clump, like a point mass, like a really concentrated, compact mass, says Natarajan. That's the black hole solution. I'm still learning this process, so if anyone has any way to put this in a more simpler terms for us readers in the comments, please do so as well. I'm still walking and learning and going through the process. Schwarzschild was really just testing the limits of his equation, a normal practice in math and physics. I enjoy this subject and I enjoy that subject. Not the best, but I am an advocate. But by keeping an open mind, Schwarzschild helped expand our understanding of what was possible. Einstein, for his part, was shocked by the solution and didn't like that it implied that there could be an object so extreme out there that the laws of physics broke down around it. Interesting. Einstein would try to use the same math to prove that black holes would not exist in real life. That's a powerful message. Einstein, for his part, was shocked by the solution and didn't like that it implied that there could be an object so extreme out there that the laws of physics broke down around it. Now, that's a perspective I didn't even really think about, respectfully, because I felt the laws of physics was, the laws of physics. But if there is physics, there could be non-physics. Maybe that's the kryptonite. Let's keep it in that type of term and connotation. Let's keep moving on. I'll read this last sentence again. Einstein would try to use the same math to prove that black holes could not exist in real life. It didn't work. In 1971, astronomers confirmed astronomy is another subject. I was talking about astrophysics, but studying when it comes to space and things of that nature, astronomy. That's the subject word. In 1971, astronomers confirmed that intense X-rays detected years earlier were from a star being ripped apart by a black hole. Iconic black hole behavior that brings us to lesson 2. So let's go back to lesson 1 real quick. Lesson 1, push the limits even if others doubt you. And I'm going to say that with I'm gonna take what this is for now in layman's terms and regurgitate. Please put your thoughts of what this meant, lesson one, in the comments. But it boils down to something being so extreme that what we perceive, think, or supposed to happen can break down and it could be a different result. So therefore, push the limits, because the limits themselves, based upon this down here, could be broken down. The limits can be broken down. So keep pushing, even if others doubt you. And it's important because as a human species, to some degree, I believe we're social creatures and we take what others say to heart to some degree. And so when you have those that may care about you or don't care about you, and they're saying they're doubting you, and you're saying that I can do this, your heart saying you can do this, your heart saying, push, that's going to take, it's easier when you have people supporting you respectfully. But if you don't have a support, you have to push that limit. And that's why it's lesson one. I mean, it starts with you, it starts with me. I have to push that limit and break down those barriers, even if others doubt me. Reputation isn't everything. Black holes are associated with an insatiable appetite and penchant for destruction. And there's some truth to that, since smaller black holes are created from the depth of a massive star. Stars that are over 8 times the mass of our sun. And because a black hole can gobble up dust, gas, whole stars, anything that ends up under its gravitational influence. So it sounds like at the minimum, this black hole is something that can absorb and dominate, and take over a space, in so many words. Smaller black holes are created from the death of a massive star, first of all, and stars that are over 8 times the mass of our sun. So you can imagine. But Danavan finds them beautiful. She studies supermassive black holes, the ones at the center of almost all galaxies in the universe. Astronomers today think that verse. Let's jump deeper into that. The center, yeah. So let's jump into that. I don't want to dismiss those. Moving forward, so we think that they fundamentally shape galaxies now, says Danavan. Black holes aren't just monsters; they're also creators. Okay, this is what I was thinking about to some degree, that they're monsters, but they're also creators. Let's jump into it. Lesson 3. So lesson 2: reputation isn't everything. So basically, being with Danavan, find them beautiful, being a entity that can take over and dominate a space. In that chaos, there's also a peace that comes from it, being a creator. And I'm curious to see what that looks like. So in this case, don't judge a book by its cover, I'd say. Reputation and everything. Let me know what you think about lesson 2. Lesson 3: do your thing whether people get you or not. That's heavy. Do your thing whether people get you or not. And maybe when we say judge a book by its cover, maybe you're the book that people may be judging. And that's another conversation. And, through that swallowing and through that taking over, creation is born at the same time. That's interesting. I don't know what that, that's what I would call grace. Give me your thoughts on lesson 2. Do your thing whether people get you or not. Lesson 3. The universe has existed for 13.8 billion years. Black holes came onto the scene within the first billion years. But humans weren't able to see an image of them until 2019, when the astrophysicists captured the iconic photo of a black hole with an orange donut of gas and dust surrounding it. The glowing donut, that's as close as we can ever get to seeing a black hole, says Danavan. So the Event Horizon Telescope revealed the first direct visual evidence of the supermassive black hole in the content of Messier 87 and its shadow. EHT collaboration. Shout out. And it's the information time, information age. It's just to be able to see these things where, in the past it wasn't able. And different myths maybe going behind this. It's just interesting to see. Moving forward. No matter, even if black holes can't be directly seen, they are still out there. Whether they're wiping whipping a galaxy into shape or just doing their own thing? Read that again. Even if the black holes can't be seen directly seen, they are still out there, whether they're whipping a galaxy into shape or just doing their own thing. That's interesting. They have a personality. So, next time you're feeling unsure about your place in the world, remember, just because you're not seen, it doesn't mean that you are not there or that you are not, playing a very, very important role, says Nada. You, like black holes, are a complex being that is part of a bigger universe. We are part of the cosmic ecosystem, Nada says, an integral part of the cosmic ecosystem. You are capable of your own version of forming your own galaxy. And like black holes, you don't need validation from outside observers to keep being that amazing you. I definitely hear that. This is definitely self empowerment, and there's a balance to everything. Self empowerment all the way to being egotistical and tyrannical and manipulative, all those things. But you have to start, with the mindset that you don't need validation from outside observers to keep being that amazing you. And that's a very broad statement. I know people have various perspectives, but at the end of the day, you just got to start with you, and respectfully, may we all be logical and reasoning in our decisions, mindful of others. And if you felt this was, a relative article when it comes to teaching us how to live our best lives, leave those thoughts in the comments. I want to shout out podcast Insight into Insight All Things Societal, sponsored by Intelligent Office, downtown Nashville, for powering this newsletter. And I look forward to connecting with you on the next one. Thank you for liking, smashing the like bell, subscribing, following, sharing. And if there's an opportunity there for donating what you felt this message was worth and sharing this work, liking, follow, subscribing, all that good stuff. And that's what helps keeps this opportunity going. Finances play a role, but nothing else. I thank you for just your goodwill, your comments, and sharing. Wishing you the best, and I will see you next time.